Welcome back to the Cast of Death for Game 3 of Fnatic versus Team Heretics. As Team Heretics were taking to the stage, a number of fans here in the studio started chanting and screaming, "First Blood King," trying to silence the Fnatic fans in Berlin. We'll have to see what Team Heretics can do. They lost Game 2 at side selection, went blue side. So Caedrel, what do you think will change? It's the first of the series that we see Team Heretics on the blue.
I think they're going to try and force a Vetheo special first pick. You know, one of the Tristana, one of the Kaisers, one of the LeBlancs, one of the Jaces. I think it's one of the directions they'll go in. As much as I like the Ahri from Vetheo for setup, it lacks so much damage that I feel like keeping Vetheo on something that can actually deal damage in fights would be a pretty good investment for a first pick.
Yeah, I think as well, just having something that can kind of team fight a little bit easier. We could see in the last one, they just couldn't quite find the engages that they were really hoping for. You know, the Trundle wasn't really happening, the Renekton wasn't as well.
I think Poppy target ban on blue side is also going to free up the draft a little bit. I think Heretics should look into invest in a Poppy ban.
Well, good job,
good adaptation from Heretics.
And of course, the Maokai has been another pick that has been prevalent throughout the series. We anticipated to be very, very impactful. Rel was a pivot for Fnatic, so they banned Kai'Sa and Xayah in both of the games. Renekton and Rel. Kai'Sa will immediately be removed. That is not a surprise when we've seen the impact that Vetheo's had on that in the middle lane.
There are things, though, that start to open up when you have to shift over, right? So for Fnatic, you're looking at, like, LeBlanc, you're looking at, like, things like the Maokai, the Jaces, the Tristanas. Like, these are picks that you definitely want to try and take away. I think of them, Tristana, you can probably leave open for Vetheo. I think it would be more the Maokais that I'd be eyeing up here.
Yeah, Maokai, LeBlanc on 2-3 for Fnatic here makes the most sense in terms of bans, but Rel would be open. So they're going to ban that one instead. So LeBlanc will be open, and so will Maokai if Heretics don't decide to target one of those champions.
Yeah, I'm curious because Vetheo has had mixed success on the LeBlanc. I think he's 50% over the course of this split on the pick. So I'll be curious to see if he's able to have that big success here, if he manages to get his hands on it.
I think if they can get a Maokai here, Heretics, Jace and Tristana are up, so they can trade off if they don't ban one of them away. They could look to target one of the junglers, perhaps? Yeah, Ivern makes a lot of sense because that means that you free up AD mids. Now, Fnatic, if you ban Jace, they're going to first pick Maokai and you get Tristana. If you ban Maokai, you can kind of trade off the Tristana if you want to with the Jace. So it's a bit of a tough one. You can't leave all three open, though, I think, because I think the Maokai ban is just a catalyst for all of it, but then they get LeBlanc, right? So it's a toss-up in terms of what to ban away, but Rakan will be open. I think putting Trymbi on comfort's important. Putting him on Rakan, I think, would free the draft up. So the Jace ban comes through. So Maokai, Tristana, and LeBlanc.
Also, importantly to note, Humanoid's only got one game played on Tristana throughout the course of this year. Very impactful. Obviously, that LeBlanc, as has already been mentioned, 2 games played, 1 win, 1 loss for Vetheo. But when you do take a look at his entire career, it is his most played champ, 25 games, 60% win ratio. That is what's been locked in, and that's exactly what we wanted to see for Vetheo, for Team Heretics.
Yeah, and as well, like, we have seen the static shiv build a lot, but also in the LPL, they're still playing it the old-fashioned way, where you just go for that AP damage. So be curious to see exactly what style he wants to go for. It is going to take both the Maokai, though. Chances are the Tristana here as well for Humanoid, and just making sure you've got that strong mid jungle now for Fnatic.
Yeah, so there's the triple picks that we expect to come through from the Jace ban. Now it's a bit of a weird one. I feel like Heretics could try and deny the Aphelios, pick up the Trundle again, but I would like to see Jankos on Viego. You know, I feel like when you're playing LeBlanc, I would love to see a Viego pick Sunder a rush. As much as the Trundle can do well into the tanks, I also do think that if they pick Rakan on 3 here or something along those lines, the Trundle will have no agency in the game whatsoever. So Aphelios, Viego, the champions come to mind. The early Renekton works pretty well. Renekton, Sejuani. I feel like they have a couple good combos here that they can decide to go for, but they're going to go for the Trundle again. There's the Aphelios denial, which I think can come through, but I'm not a huge fan of this Trundle.
No, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I think, as you said, like, hasn't had the biggest of impacts. It can set up alongside the LeBlanc to actually go for some of these plays in the mid lane, but against the Tristana, it's so hard to actually have any sort of lockdown on this Trundle. Or Tristana in there, immediate rumble as well. This is a nasty composition for Fnatic.
Especially when you can ban away 2 top laners on red side. I think the Trundle's doing good in the early, but later on it just falls off a bit in the team fights.
Yeah, and also as well, when you want to try and play for this with the Aphelios and you're up against a Maokai, a Rumble, this long range engage is going to be abysmal to deal with. I think you need to probably look at something like a Braum maybe for Mersa, something that can tank the Maokai ult and buy space, so this Aphelios isn't just getting locked up immediately every team fight.
Gentlemen, how many games of Rumble has Oscarinin ever played?
2.
1. This is his
0.
second. Played it for the first time. It was a win the first time he pulled it out. 13 KDA. Gigantic impact. But I really love what you mentioned, Dagda. When you combine the Maokai Ultimate, Rumble Ultimate together, the zone control, the damage is gigantic, especially on a champion like Aphelios that ideally kind of wants to be relatively low mobility.
I think Rakan on 4 here is incredible, Fnatic. You were talking about the Braum blind, but I think Rakan there shuts off the Brown blind. So I wonder if they ban Nautilus here to force a Rakan ban, then they can take the Brown themselves. That could work pretty well. Renekton ban's going to come through. I feel like Nautilus, Brown, Rakan, like you said, it's a bit of a touchy one, because Nautilus for Fnatic would be good, because Maokai Nautilus into LeBlanc, as soon as she dashes forward, there's 2 point-and-click CCs, she's gone. But the less frontline Fnatic have, the better against the Trundle. So now that Brown's banned, is Nautilus worth here for Fnatic, or is it Rakan? It's a bit of a weird one. They can leave it till 5-pick. Varus, of course, is open, would be a little bit of AP. If no, I think we can go towards the lethality build, though.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what the plan is here, though. I mean, maybe something like a Thresh to try and keep them safe, but I mean, you're in such a weird spot. I feel like this Aphelios is going to be so incredibly vulnerable in this fight, so I'm curious to see exactly what they want to go for. We have seen this Annie come out as a bit of an answer to Humanoid, to the Tristana, at least in the mid lane, so may still go back towards that, but with the LeBlanc there, I don't know if they're actually going to see it.
I do like seeing Ebby locking in his Cassante. It is the most played champion, and for Mersa, we'll lock in the Nautilus to round it out. I can see some furled eyebrows there from Dagda as we now turn our attention to Trymbi and what his support pick will be.
Yeah, I just don't really like what Heretics are bringing to the board here. Yes, you've got the Cassante who can try and step forward, but you've got so much engage that can come through on Fnatic's side. It becomes really hard for Aphelios to try and play these fights with Chain of Corruption, Maokai Ultimate, even the Equalizer as well. Now you add a Mad Cow into the mix, this is not going to be a good time.
No, it's not. Goes for the Alistar. Now the Alistar into Trundle LeBlanc is going to be a bit tricky to teamfight, but again, it's just about the amount of threat that they can put onto the Aphelios like you're talking about. So it's on Vetheo to step up in these fights. Now the Rumble, of course, with the % health damage, will be good into the Cassante. I think the Aphelios Nautilus should get bot push. Mid is contested. I think Tristana can get it early, of course, though, because of the E passive. But I think Fnatic's got a well-rounded team fight, raw, kind of engaged team comp, whereas Heretics have single target damage, play the team fight perfectly to cover it for the Aphelios.
And I actually think, as you say, like a lot of this is on video, I think this would be a game where I'd want to see full AP LeBlanc. I feel like you don't have enough lockup for the LeBlanc to actually immediately take care of her. So if you can gain access onto like a Varus or even the Tristana on a flank, maybe you can remove that extra damage out of the team fight and make it a bit easier, but it's still going to be incredibly tough with still Rumble and one of these 2 AD carries still in the fight.
And of course, you do need to close that gap significantly when you consider the long range, Chain of Corruption, Equalizer, Nature's Grasp. The tools for Fnatic are gigantic. We keep a close eye on both Vetheo's LeBlanc as well as Trymbi's Alistar. He played it for the 4th time earlier today. Some question marks in terms of early game decision making. And that was a harsh sting to Vitality members who will not be advancing to season finals. One of these teams will not be advancing to season finals. Whoever wins is locked in and will face XL tomorrow. Let's find out who wins game 2 and is one step closer.
So blue side had a 70% win rate coming into this weekend, and Heretics managed to steal away some from that stat with their first win of the day. Now we'll have to see as they take to the blue side for the first time during this series if they can try and live up to that statistic once more.
Yeah, and of course, Fnatic, they can put a damp in it. Come on, don't be so biased yet to blue side, Dagda.
God forbid.
God forbid. Of course, on the red side, for Rumble looking to burn down their opponents, that was an awful segue. I do want to shine a brief light onto Oscarinin. He's playing a champion for the 2nd time ever. Obviously, the Rumble is one of the big impactful champions of the meta. And in game number 1, the fact that Oscar was killed solo by Ebby while being ganked was a bit of a surprise. If you look at the numbers on your screen, Ebby has had a rough summer. I think that is a polite way of putting it, and has been assisted, let's say, by Jankos several times. Look at the jungle proximity, significantly more time. I want to see what he can do on his comfort pick, but I will say for at least the first 2 games of this series, I am a little bit happy to see how he has played, the way he's impacted the game. It's been a little sloppy for many members of the players here, but into this Rumble, the risk or the damage of falling behind is exacerbated so much more because of the impact Rumble can have in the early and mid game.
Yeah, and that's where I think you're going to see Oscarinin start to try to take over this top side. It's a good matchup into the Cassante. You've already got a strong mid jungle for Razork and Humanoid. It feels like they have so many opportunities to try and play around this top side to set themselves up, particularly around Rift Herald.
I like Fnatic's draft a lot. I think the Maokai poke, the Varus poke, who will be going towards lethality, is strong. They've got Rumble, which towards the later stages actually can function as a poke champ. What do you do with the equalizer? You just kind of throw it down on one of their carries and then you can just force an objective. That oftentimes works.
And I think what's the cooldown is like max levels like 50-ish seconds or so. Between 50 and 60, it's just insane when you think about it.
Yeah, so there's a lot of threat of poke on Flakked, so a lot of skill shots to dodge, a lot of saplings that need to be tanked. But the LeBlanc is the wild factor for me for Vetheo. As much as the Maokai W can lock him down, there isn't that as much lockdown in the follow-up if that is down. So, you know, an Alistar on a chain, you know, the Varus immobile, the Rumble is also in a chain. Like, it's really easy to blow up the front line because Fnatic don't have that many tanks, and the Trundles will be used on the Alistar, so everyone's going to be really squishy on Fnatic. It's just a case of playing their range properly.
Yeah, but that's where it does become a little bit difficult, as you say, because Flakked, like, yes, you have Ebby who's there, but if Ebby is off split pushing against Oscarinin and suddenly Razork lets out an ultimate and you're like, well, we're kind of up a creek without a paddle, because Trymbi can now come in with a flank. You've got Jankos who'll be locked up by Razork, and that's where I think a lot of these difficulties are going to come from. Again, we'll have to see if Flakked can be as fast on the trigger finger with that flash as he was in game number 1, as Mersa makes a visit to Humanoid and makes him blow that W as well.
I mean, Team Heretics just playing the 2 chains comp, looking for the distortion dredge line. Flash Ignite still available. Does Humanoid sniff out that anyone's moving? You can see that Flakked with the early back. He's picked up that cult and control ward as well, making his way down. Couple of pings from Fnatic on Scuttle and Mersa. Look, there's no lane to play around. So I think once you see Flakked show up, that'll give the information to Humanoid, but he's got so much safety on Tristana.
Yeah, Flakked took a cheater off the first 3 waves, so that kind of allowed Mersa to be unlocked and hover for those mid ganks. Got a little bit of mana out of Humanoid, but not the end of the world, and Flakked can now safely catch his wave, and Mersa's back in time for the experience. The question is, do they hold this? It's quite a big wave to hold if they want to. They're going to use the D-mat to invest and swap over the aggro onto the Nautilus. They will be able to hold it. Noah's base is going to suck a little bit because the Aphelios is already out of base with a Cull and a Frozen Wave. This could be an opportunity for Mersa to take a recall if he wants to.
Well, keep an eye. Also look at the minimap. Razork started to move into the jungle of Team Heretics. Thank you, Observers. He's placed that ward down. Looks like a little bit of a split map. It's kind of mirrored, of course, by Jankos, who cleared just that little bit quicker, has already backed, picked up that Sheen, and is back onto the Rift. If Oscar sticks around, there is shenanigans possible with that Pillar of Ice and that Pathmaker. But Ebby is running a little bit low.
You can see what the plan is here from Fnatic, though. Get that early vision down, let Oscarinin bully up in this matchup, and they will spot out that Jankos is on this Gromp, so you know for Oscarinin to try and crash this wave before he's able to finish it, get yourself into a decent spot, and if Ebby is going to be this low consistently, Razork can full clear towards that top side after Ebby takes a reset and try and kill him as he burns that TP to get back to lane.
Looks like that might be the case. It's bottom lane again, just being shoved in over and over. I mean, keep an eye there on Noah, using those piercing arrows to try land that poke. Similar poke being landed now. This Humanoid will get rooted up, but he gets that E-bomb explosive, winning that particular trade. And with the junglers having to having done mostly a full clear, no real opportunities yet for either of them.
Oscar's winning an isolation in this matchup. 10 CS lead, doing great, building towards the demonic embrace. I think Heretics' wave control in bot has been much better than Fnatic's, though. They've been holding this wave close to their tower for so long, and this has surmounted to a 10 CS lead in a lane that Jankos can pop a visit to, because they've still been trying to crash this wave, I think, here, Fnatic, as it will slowly eventually start bouncing after they've held it here for the last couple minutes.
Razork is in the same area, right? Wardle spotted out that control now being focused down. With the wave in front of the tower, like the advantage that Flakked has started to generate. Not going to look for the fight, but did that dragon get started by Razork? No, it's clearing out the ward. Thank you. Clearing out that ward instead and backing away. Couldn't quite see under the tower. And nevertheless, no opportunity to punish just yet. It's Fnatic once again. A little bit of a lead, pushing all 3 of the respective lanes.
I think it's important that Razork just keeps going up and down this river behind mid lane, because if Humanoid gets ganked, he needs to be ready to respond to push Jankos away so Humanoid can live. If he can sit in isolation, he can keep trading into Vetheo's face and keep the push. There's Jankos showing on bot side now, just to make sure that Heretics aren't ganked on this push out.
Yeah, I'm curious to see, though, what the plan is for Razork. If he wants to try and visit topside or all, or if he's just going to go right. I mean, Oscarinin's winning this matchup hard. Let's just leave him to it and not really give that much attention. Especially as you can see, like, Dragon now started up for Fnatic, for Heretics. This might be an opportunity for him to go top, but looks like they want to try and contest.
I mean, this early game start here, Vetheo up, what, 10, 12 CS already. It was nearly a 20 CS advantage for Heretics before the Dragon was started. Dragon will be secured as Vetheo is forced to run away using that LeBlanc clone. He should escape with his life. Trymbi now being burned down, and he will be able to get the pulverized and step out. Humanoid looking to find a target for the Buster shot.
Whoa.
Will not be enough to kill Mersa, and the sapling runs away. So the gigantic CS advantage leads into the Dragon, and everyone from Heretics escapes.
Yeah, it's a greedy re-engage from Heretics, though, at the end of that. Vetheo was already taken out of the equation because of good engagement Razork, but trying to turn around to get the kill onto Trymbi. He's so damn tanky. Now bot side, Jankos is here.
Yeah, he's baiting it, Flakked. Flakked is walking up intentionally, hoping Trymbi combos in. And Jankos is saying this could be a free kill if Trymbi decides to flash combo. Don't react, let it hit. But Fnatic aren't taking that bait. It's going to take a reset is Jankos, but a lot of summoners blown from Fnatic. That's 2 flashes on the mid jungle, the heal from Noah, the ignites from Trymbi. Only Mersa really losing out on Heretics on top of them getting the dragon.
Looks like though Heretics want to try and bail out Ebby a little bit on this top side. 30 seconds until that Herald is up and available, so they want to try and get that push out in mid. Use the fact that Humanoid's now gone for the reset to get control over mid lane as well, and try to move in that direction. No blast coming from Mersa though.
Hex flash is available, see if he goes for it. See if Ebby gets the knock.
Back up from Jankos as well. Oscarinin has got the equalizer, needs to manage to heat well.
Hook.
Waiting for it, dredge line, connects, equalizer, the red carpet is laid out, and Vetheo is coming for the flank to boot.
The Q.
Available there, damage will land, knocks him back. Here comes Vetheo, over the wall for first blood. Well played by Heretics.
Great roam from Mersa, just knowing, look, Humanoid stuck around for the plate mid. We're going to be back on the map faster, so let's try and use that opportunity to get the kill top, get control of River, maybe get a play for Ebby as well, but most importantly, get control over Rift Herald.
Gentlemen, that started by one of you saying, we want to bail out Ebby. The kill is secured by Vetheo, who we said we wanted to see him get accelerated and play well. He looks to be going for that static shift build, as is to be expected with itemization, but the first kill secured and the advantage to Heretics early is looking good.
Yeah, Jankos a bit greedy going for the Herald. Mersa needed to take a reset, and Fnatic did have their jungle support on the map, so they're going to push him off that objective. Rumble's down, and so is Cassante. I expected maybe the Cassante ult to go through the wall across into the jungle where Mersa was lying, but instead goes over the wall. Flakked moved up towards his top side next to Mersa. Noah still on bot wave, and once Fnatic spot out that the enemy AD carry is top side, they'll know they're in a split map, but they have a lethality Varus. There's no tower threats from Fnatic on this bottom side of the map. This is a really good swap by Heretics. Fnatic can't really get anything on the cross map. Emmy can hold the tower easily. They're going to Herald top. Oscar's going to try and push out this top wave, but no one needs to get to this top side.
If I'm an excited Team Heretics fan, am I just loving everything Heretics are doing right now? It feels like every time Mersa's left lane, it's been a gigantic advantage. There was a huge CS lead for Flakked. That cheetah recall you mentioned earlier, they've got the first dragon, they've got the first Herald. It just feels to me like Heretics are sort of firing on all cylinders.
And I think Mersa has really stepped up over the course of this last split that we have in summer. Like, finding these sorts of roams, working with this team, specifically, like, the amount of times I've seen him over the course of this link up with Jankos to find opportunities or skirmishes in River, and even in this one as well, sets up the play beautifully.
Yeah, great kill for Vetheo, but I think the beauty of the map state now for Heretics, as we see Vetheo gets the kill, is once they push out top with Herald, they can base and swap back, because Noah's going to want to go top to match. And as we come out alive here, we see the Aphelios spacing. I think they can just swap back here, Heretics, put the Aphelios bot, match into the Rumble, and then just start mismatching with Herald, and eventually Heretics should win out. The only problem they're going to run into is the Rumble ult, which can blow a wave straight away. The Herald should make up for that, but Ebby has TP advantage as well for the next 30 seconds.
And so crucial, the fact that he's got that plate, he's got that assist under his belt as well. Despite being 20 CS down, dead even on the gold. So you have to respect, obviously, the power of the Sorcerer's Shoes equalizer, and it's a minute 20 until the next dragon.
But that's the thing as well, you get to avoid the matchup with Ebby, where he's in a terrible time, as Mersa went a bit too far forward.
No flash.
Target is going to connect, but there's no fault. The Pillar of Ice.
Yep.
Dissuading Fnatic's aggression, so the 600 gold lead, no Nature's Growth. I think it'll be on cooldown for the Dragon as well.
The thing is though, Oscarinin stuck around to try and help out to get that play onto Mersa, because they don't. Look at Ebby in the top side. He has TP, he's pushing onto that turret, is running to demolish, so should get a plate here for himself. And you're going to get the Rift Herald onto the bottom side as well. Like, Heretics are just playing so well.
So what Oscar's had to do is run from bot lane to top because of his TP disadvantage. I think Heretics' usage of swapping back and forth after they got that Herald was great. You know, Noah had to keep up with Flakked, and as he did, it's Oscar that's the loser. Loses a wave, loses a plate. Almost. Not the end of the world, but he has the TP coming up now to match Ebby on this dragon. Most important thing, though, is Fnatic don't have the Maokai ult for this dragon. That's a huge spell to have in locking down any form of front line to play front to back. So as Razork's taking this recall, I think Fnatic might have to give it up.
I think in terms of cooldown available, Razork still needs another minute or so before that's up. So if Heretics decide to rush it, they drop the Herald, they can do so. Also, Flakked is currently 10 on CS up over his opposite number. Color's about to proc to boot. Should be able to get a plate or two here as well, and can peel back for the Dragon. So on this Aphelios being accelerated very quickly.
Now that I think about it, Razork has the Demonic Embrace. He's got a spike coming through. He is down a level onto Jankos, so the fact that he's ran down here makes me think Fnatic are fighting, but with what tools? They're down a level on mid-jungle. They have no ultimate on the Maokai.
No.
What's the plan?
Depth charge lands, Buster shot down, Mersa's This time the hook doesn't find his target, but here comes Flakked over the wall. Moonlight Vigil on the tick and the burn. He's not going to find the kill just yet. Humanoid manages to stay alive. Trymbi unable to find his target, and the dragon is now being focused. Team Heretics are able to force Fnatic away.
Flakked lost all of his crescendo sacks though, so maybe this is the time.
Oh, we're going to find out. Chain of Corruption is available. The re-engage, Nature's Crop.
Here comes Oscar.
And Jankos may be the sacrifice here. Dragon was secured. Noah is going to be...
Oh my god! What a
slam
dunk!
Manages to find the kill. It ends up being secured there by Vetheo as well, and now Oscarinin throws out the equalizer. Trymbi secures the kill back. It's a 2-for-1, but the dragon goes to Heretics.
In the long run, Fnatic wins. I think Heretics committed so many resources to get Humanoid down. Ultimates, everything invested, Ignite. They didn't get the kill. Humanoid didn't have TP, but on the re-engage fight with Oscar coming in, with all these ultimates being down, easily turns it, doesn't he? The red carpet managing to get the kill onto LeBlanc in the long run so that Alistar can pick it up. And Fnatic didn't get the dragon, but at least fighting back at an ultimate disadvantage. The Razork ultimate eventually came up towards the end.
Yeah, and as you say, then you get to fight off the spike that is that demonic embrace. The fact that Mersa missed that hook was so crucial at the end of it. And as well, the chakrams for Flakked had just run out as he tried to come back into river, so he has no way to really stack them up without the ultimate available. So Heretics fumble the ball at the last second.
They did, and Flakked, not only did he use the chakrams and the ult, he also flashed, right? So there was so much invested that he had to run back around. Even Mersa losing his flash to Trymbi, catching him out of position. Platings are falling soon. They've already used the Herald. No Rumble ult for Oscar, but Trymbi's on his way up to defend it. They've got Humanoid on the bot lane with TP. Could look to TP in behind if they get a ward down, if they know they have TP advantage over Vetheo, but he's leaning on this top side. There'd be no TP though, of course.
Take a look at the rest of the backup options here. Razork making his way towards the top tower. Still a very minor gold lead here in favor of Team Heretics. And Vetheo sitting with that completed static shift, pushing back in the middle lane to catch it out. I mean, here's that replay we talked about in terms of Flakked rejoining without having the chakrams up.
Yeah, the initial hook missing from Mersa then again, and you can already see you just got more members of Fnatic that are coming through. The ultimate's able to separate them out well. Now, Evie does get a nice ultimate here to set up the flat slam dunk. Yeah, and then boop, alley-ooped immediately in, but Vetheo does manage to get the kill off the back.
Razork's ult just came up as they engaged. What a nice timing too, but wow, that Cassante flew halfway across the map, didn't he?
Can I just say thank you to the observers, because I actually was wondering exactly what it was that from Vetheo that got the kill, and the fact that they followed that all the way along. Very well played. He's just sitting 2-1. Now Ebby's going to be the target of some love here from Trymbi. Starting a fight. All outs available to him. Trymbi level 7. Humanoid's going to double you away. All out use.
Oh, Ebby is going.
Take it forward. Ebby gets stunned.
He got him.
Knocked down. He manages to find himself a kill. 3 more members of Fnatic are now chasing him down. The rest of Team Heretics pushing towards the top lane. Eventually, Ebby will fall to Razork, but at what cost?
Ebby has solo kills this weekend. Like, what is happening? He managed to get it on Adam, and now he's set up for Heretics to dive Oscarinin.
Ebby is here to play. Oscarin's using that equalizer to try clear out the wave, make it more difficult, pick up the CS that is possible. Kill secured to Vetheo, 3 of his team's 4, and the tower will fall.
Let's not forget he solo killed Oster in game 1. This guy's having a stormer over the last few weeks, and Trymbi didn't get the best combo in, did he? He didn't get the Q, and then he knocked him a little bit even closer to Humanoid, which stings. Humanoid pushing in his bot side, trying to trade out towers.
I think Ebby's giving a thumbs up to all the fans, people mentioning things already. I think kudos where it is due. He has not had a great summer, and at least 2 of these 3 games is stepping up to the plate. Reminder though, that it was Oscarin's Poppy in game 2 in the team fights later on that really took over. He's a champion that can have similar levels of impact on this Rumble, as Fnatic will find a tower back, but we're a minute 20 from Dragon number 3. It is still only a very minor goal difference between these squads, and you just feel, Dagda, I get this tingling in my bones, that both teams are going to want to contest, look for that fight. I mean, Fnatic wanted to commit to it without having Razork's ultimate to start.
And I think that's where Evie at least trying to move in here to get that vision down for Heretics. Humanoid gonna hop himself away, but they want to try and, excuse me, sorry, set up that deep vision, so then they're in an okay spot. Vetheo so strong now as well with the Night Harvester completed. He's a massive threat if you're trying to get past or circumvent this vision that's been set up for Heretics.
So look at Razork's item. He's just gonna finish the jungle pet in 1 more creep. When he gets that 1 more creep, with the demonic embrace and the points in E, I think the poke's going to be strong for Fnatic. There's no 2 items on the Varus just yet. Rumble's going to push in top with TP, but Razork needs to upgrade that smite, and then they need to start finding ways to poke them down.
I mean, take a look at the mini-map. You can see just how many wards have been set up here. Team Heretics with the Herald in the mid lane, 2 charges, securing 1.5 towers. Ebby leading the charge. Now, while that is happening, Oscarinin pushed the top lane and secured a tower for himself, so it's 3-2. Dragon is up in 10 seconds. Fnatic should be able to clear this clear this wave out in the middle lane. Oscar doesn't even need to commit the teleport because he's making his way to the mid lane. Should be in range for Equalizer. We're on the verge of a fight. Dragon is now alive, and it's Team Heretics on the river first.
Where's the poke? There's none landed just yet, and Fnatic are still walking up for the fight. Flakked has perfect guns. He has a bit of front line in front of him. Vetheo has a nice little flank position going. There's the Maokai ult to try and find some position.
Oh, follow the Equalizer. Nature's Grasp doesn't hold people in place long enough, but Ebby is burned down. It holds Team Heretics at bay, at arm's length, for an easy kill onto the top laner. Vetheo doesn't fancy an opportunity, and Fnatic will pick up their first dragon. Very well played, and that's again the power of Maokai and Rumble. Use that long range, use the damage. Team Heretics simply cannot have an answer.
Yeah, the forest fire across the top of them as Oscarinin and Razork are able to get entirely on top of Ebby, murder him instantly, and now Heretics in a position where they maybe can try and lean back to Vetheo, pushing on side lanes and try and play around that, but realistically the team fight from Fnatic is so strong at this mid-game point.
Maokai, we've been talking about it the last 2 games. Look how much space it creates. Oh, we have no vision on Dragon. Let's just Maokai ult and run in a straight line. Then they have to walk away, right? So Ebby thinks maybe I can block it from my team. No, all of them go on to him while his team's running away. Vetheo's on a flank, but he can't gap close in time. Hook goes wide. And like you said, the damage from the Rumble ult on top of the Maokai ult, it's just too hard for Heretics to walk up.
But there's no winning in that fact either, right? Because you want to conga line your way through because you want to dodge the Maokai ult. And then it's like, brilliant, you just lined up for the Rumble ult. Like, it's such a nasty combo. And this is why we're talking about it. I think if you're on red side, across this playoffs, you have to ban Maokai. He's way too strong and opens up just so many opportunities for these kind of AP carries or even your AD mid laners to play with.
And again, if you're in the shoes of Team Heretics, you're going to be looking for flank opportunities, or ideally, you have to play outside of the cooldown timing. For Razork, it's already available, level 11 now. You can see it's Fnatic pushing the bottom wave while the rest of Team Heretics pushing top.
And the Rumble ult, can he get it down here, Oscar? If he can Rumble ult that top wave, they can't get a top tier 2. So it's like, this Rumble is just so annoying on cross maps. It's similar to a GP when you have Herald advantage or whatever, when you push sides and you try and trade 1 for 1 on opposite sides of the map, he can just Rumble ult waves and slow you down.
I mean, the cooldown at the moment is 1.5 minutes on that Equalizer, and used exactly like we talked about. You can use it defensively, clear the wave. You can use it for poke at later levels to try force opponents down. And obviously can be lowered on top of the Maokai ultimate for that forest fire combination. Beautifully coined by Dagda. Now, as Fnatic, they are regaining some level of control. The fact they got that dragon, they slow down the soul, and that will just give them time to scale up.
The thing is as well, like, Vetheo has hit his 2 items, but you can see when you come into these fights, he had a great flank at that dragon fight, but actually isn't able to get a lot of damage off and isn't really able to get onto some of the carries or force a big threat from Fnatic to actually deal with him. So in this situation...
Right, Nature's Grasp comes out, Equalizer's on cooldown, remember, but they might not need it. Jankos forced to flash for his life. Flakked on the green-purple, not the best, as Vetheo's trying to slow down the pressure. Fnatic have zoned them away. Baron is alive. Do they fancy a shot?
I think they're going to have to go for it. They have the Tristana for the on-hit damage. The poke Varus won't do as much. They have the Tristana ultimate up, but the Rumble ult's up soon.
Keep your eyes on Trymbi. Flash is up and available. It's that combo, Oscarinin and Trymbi, that they want to try and see if they can turn on. TP in from LeBlanc, Vetheo's on top side.
That was such a great vision toggle from the observers. No information yet for Heretics. Baron is burned down, it is secured. Vetheo's trying to slow down the escape. Jankos takes the Hexgate behind them. Trundle pillar can do work. Humanoid rocket jumps forward, Dreadline catches a target, but the red carbon is laid out and sidestepped and has moved away from. Team Heretics have lost 2. The resets have come in, and Humanoid is hopping, skipping, and jumping and delivering presence to Team Heretics.
Who needs the Maokai ult to set up when they're just going to run through a choke point? Oscarinin lays it down, and there's nothing Heretics can do to follow up.
Heretics just walk into their demise, don't they? It's a Baron pickup by Fnatic, and it's in these situations as a team that you feel like you can't let them get away with it. You have to fight them. If they can 5-man reset here with Varus, with this Maokai, with this Rumble ult, with a Baron, you have to try at least. And like you said, Dagda, they walk into this choke, the Rumble ult comes down, overheated with the Q, walking into a Varus as well, and there's no damage. Flash forward from Humanoid, who just solo killed the Jankos off to the side of the Varus Q, and now the game's only really going to get worse. This draft from Fnatic is such a pain to play against.
Especially now as they start to step up, you're going to have the combo of that Maokai ult and also the Rumble ult to just siege towers. It's like as you walk up, it's like, oh, you want to try and defend this barn, but you don't have a chance. So opportunities galore for Fnatic, and it looks like topside is going to be where they go for it.
Oh,
as Humanoid,
TP.
Yeah, great TP away to make sure they can join the rest of Fnatic on that top end.
Really nicely done. I mean, listen, it's already a 4,400 gold bonus from this Red Bull Baron power play, which is absolutely gigantic. Fnatic can continue the siege. Vetheo trying to at least match a little bit in that middle lane. They'll be able to take that tower in a moment or two. The rest of Fnatic, how aggressive are they feeling? They just got is up. Equalizer's available. Do they even need it? Baron Empowered Minions will open the base, turning their attention to the inhibitor as well. They could stick around even longer. I mean, Vetheo has not recalled yet, and there's nothing that Team Heretics can do.
Yeah, they're trying to see if they can get that mid lane turret, but you can see there was indecision there from Vetheo, not able to do particularly much. They were never going to be able to defend the top turret, but now at least they do have some pressure in mid lane where maybe, just maybe, they could look for a pick before this dragon comes up. You see they're trying to stop the stragglers from joining in, but Flakked is also straggling now on this top side, so a bit of a messy call here from Heretics.
Heretics are just giving it up, aren't they? The Aphelios just pushing out top, knowing the little Fnatic of base. Maybe you can get another wave in or get some vision. Look at Mersa, he's in a Hexgate over perhaps and try and put wards on the top side. A bit too scared to Hexgate, just a couple shallow wards in the river, and they're going to give this dragon up. So, 2 dragons over to Fnatic, won't be around 33, 34 minutes until they can find themselves a soul, but I think with the lead they have and the comp they have, it's going to be it's going to be one more Baron setup, and I think that's going to be lights out for Heretics. So Fnatic need to make sure they keep these lanes stable, keep them pushed out, have vision on one side, play some kind of 4-1 in a group up, don't over siege, and just wait for this Baron to spawn. Pop the saplings down, wait for them to face check, and then push them back. The important thing is not dropping control.
Well, they're kind of doing that at the moment. Noah's still pushing in the... Flakked is still pushing in this top side, which means that Fnatic can actually start to step up and siege this turret as well. So, already, Razork uses the ultimate to buy space.
Targets held in place. Not going to have the equalizer available because Oscarinin is still inside the jungle. Will not even be needed because the inner turret will just drop. 3 members pushing that one. Flakked now forced to recall, recognizing that Fnatic are stepping into the darkness. And like, if you remember the first 10 minutes of this game, Team Heretics were kind of running circles around Fnatic. All the lane reassignments and movement from Mersa as well as Abby generated them a respectable advantage. But the moment we've hit these skirmishes and team fights, the composition from Fnatic has just completely taken over the game. 2 dragons, 5k gold lead. We saw that big swing from like 2k down to like 5k up now. It's all Fnatic, and they're just going to be waiting for these next neutrals.
That demonic embrace on Razork's done 2,300 damage so far.
Wow, that is insane.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, the first strike hasn't done too much yet because.
So how much damage has everyone done? Oh, I double tapped that. The entire game. So demonic embrace has dealt almost as much damage as Flakked has. Right. I mean,
it has. It's absurd, isn't it? You just rush that item, put the saplings down absolutely everywhere, and as longer the game goes on, the better it'll be for first strike as well to start getting you some extra gold on each of those saplings. So yeah, not only is it impressive in the poke and in the scaling, but also the engages too. So such a strong champion, and we'll see what kind of Fnatic looks for with 1 minute 30 seconds on this Baron. Going to be just a case of grouping up, not getting caught, pushing Heretics out, and then topside Baron start. How does Heretics respond? It's so difficult with their draft.
I mean, when you look at Oscarinin is up 2k gold, 2.5 items completed. It's 1.2k in favor of Razork. Can you just think of the long range and just the frustration of playing into those respective champions? Sapling once again will pop. That'll actually interrupt. Abby's back. And you can see that Fnatic just pushing this vision line deeper. Now, admittedly, with 7 towers secured, becomes a little bit harder to continue pressing forward. They've got super minions that'll apply pressure in that top lane. Baron's up in a minute. And I think if you are a fan of Team Heretics, you have to hope that one of these Hail Mary team fights, either at a Dragon, a Baron pit, or maybe under your own inhibitor, that's where they have to try and find some way to turn it once that Nature's Grasp is down, once the Equalizer is not available.
Yeah, I think I'm watching Vetheo to see what he can do. You have the Lich Bane. This is where you're at the point where you're going to start falling off. But if Vetheo can maybe get in, get some poke down as Fnatic are trying to step forward, as you're trying to contest some of the vision that's been established, maybe, but that's engage!
That's engage from Trymbi, forces the flash up from Flakked already. Here comes Humanoid over the wall, turning attention to Mersa. Nature's Grasp going down the middle lane! It's time for the turn of the burn! Vetheo simply can do nothing but watch. Abby's trying his best to jump onto Oscarinin, but he's burned down where he stands. It's a triple kill for Noah, and a complete team fight win for Fnatic.
And a Baron for Fnatic as well. The wave was cleared out by Vetheo thanks to the static shift, but that's about it that Vetheo was able to achieve. Fnatic now move into River and will be able to pick this one up for themselves. Oscarinin should just reset with that TP and make his way back in.
I expected it to be a controlled Baron. Wait for them to walk in. But this is the second time Trymbi's gone for the W creep Q flash onto Flakked, and he's reacted well, but the chase potential this draft has with the Maokai ult, with the Tristana resets, with the Rumble slowing you down. There's no real way to escape. Vetheo can only just try and poke them down with a static shiv with the Qs, but there's no real spells or ultimates or threat that's stopping Fnatic from running in a straight direction. So here comes a WQ flash. Flakked, great reaction times once again, similar to the, I think it was game 1 on the Alistar from Trymbi. Humanoid realizes he jumps too far forward, flashes back, but now you have this 5-man line position where they can't do anything. They don't have any range to answer back.
Yeah, and you can see Trymbi just able to follow up on the equalizer, set up a ton of damage there. And Vetheo, yes, he arrives in, but I mean, the LeBlanc not really getting too much done. The game has just gotten too out of control now for Fnatic. And with this Baroned up, wait for the cooldowns, siege the base. I mean, Heretics are just going to be burned alive in their own base.
I will tell you now, when I saw Trymbi going forward, I clenched real hard. I was nervous after game 1, but he pulls it off. Huge kudos, as you mentioned several times, Caedrel. Flakked's reaction time was great. Ultimately, though, the power, the long-range tools of those ultimates pushes Fnatic to nearly 10,000 gold up. They've got the Baroness 20 seconds to the next dragon as well.
Yeah, the ult was used by Noah there, but it's like the smallest, slimmest of silver linings of all time, because realistically, no, that isn't really the biggest problem that you're having right now.
But cooldown as well.
Exactly. So I think for Fnatic, they realize how strong they are. They're just going to siege up mid. If anyone tries to defend, they're just going to take them down with this tower.
I think this meta is all about who has more range, really, it feels like, doesn't it? Or more space buying spells, more range control, more collateral damage in team fights, where I think it can just happen in terms of knock-on effects. Or Jankos actually getting knocked up. See if there's an engage from Fnatic here.
Their eyes on Vetheo, looking for the flank. Nature's Grasp in reverse. It's Humanoid that finds the first kill. Jankos is burnt down. Humanoid hops forward. It's another secured. Humanoid's now chasing onto Vetheo. The Buster! And he secure it. 3 members of Team Heretics are down. Flakked is flashless underneath his tower. And Evie's been cooked alive like the shrimp that he is. Fnatic now turn their attention onto the Baron-empowered minions, the Nexus turrets, and the match point. Game 3 has been won, and Fnatic are 1 win away from locking in season finals and for advancing to a showdown with XL.
Fnatic absolutely stomping their authority on this game, running directly at Heretics saying, "What have you got, lads?" And the answer was straight up nothing.
Yeah, I think good turnaround game from Trymbi. Humanoid on the Tristana looked very, very clean in terms of positioning in fights. I think the Varus worked out as a great pick to round out this draft, and I think this Maokai pick, we talked about it so much, and the Rumble for Oscar is now the 2nd time it's been successful in this LEC playoffs, in this top 4, now coming into it. So yeah, I think there's a lot of question marks now for Heretics going back to draft. Is LeBlanc really worth first picking? What are you giving up if you're letting them have LeBlanc and Tristana's open? Maybe you could go for the Maokai Tristana instead, something along those lines. But I think if Fnatic are smart, they'll think about this and be like, well, in game 4, we're actually going to ban it because we know you're going to first pick it.
We're going to have to find out as well, because of course Team Heretics will have side selection for game number 4. It could be the last game of the day. We'll find out on the other side of this break.